Hi, my name is Ashley Adamson. I stuttered there. I am going through this book that I wrote called Trans Kung Fu, Awakening Self-Acceptance. And it's basically a book about learning how to accept yourself and to do the inner work, all the tools and tips that I've learned in the 10,000 plus hours of transitioning to really help you leapfrog through your transition in a way where you can get to your own inner sense of happiness and own inner sense of being with where you are. So if you'd like to kind of learn more about that, even read the book, you can purchase it on my website. But this is also a read along where I'm going to be reading it and having an aside here and there from the author. You hear it first. I wrote this because there's nothing out there that's about internal transformation as a guide for trans people. And I think it's super important because it's really hard, right? Like it takes a lot of work. So we're on the page 7, what is Kung Fu? I just read through the intro in the last piece. What comes to mind when you hear the term Kung Fu? Martial arts, fighting? I was no different growing up. My grandmother on my Chinese side would play show after show of Shaolin monks and mystical princes and princesses dancing in hand-to-hand combat. It was not until much later that when I began to transition that I truly understood the meaning of Kung Fu. Kung Fu is made up of two characters, Kung, meaning effort or endeavor, and Fu, meaning time spent. Combined, this means the study and practice of something that requires effort and patience. In this sense, anything can be Kung Fu, a pianist elevating their skills, or martial adept attaining black belt. When thinking about one's transition, it may often feel fluid, unstable, and a little unpredictable. Yet, there is a solidity in the process, and you can make progress as you come against your own inner walls. You can become more skillful at handling your battles with concepts such as dysphoria or the healthcare system. What I mean by that is, sometimes dysphoria really gets you, but if you treat this with a practice as a warrior, as an adept, you can face your dysphoria in a way that can allow you to find peace with it. As well as the healthcare system. Sometimes that takes a lot of inner martial arts. I've definitely talked about my woes there with the German healthcare system. Oh my God. When it comes to applying a framework for resilience, self-motivation, and personal growth, I cannot think of a better term to apply to one's endeavor on transitioning. There's nothing more transformational and life-altering than to transition in its complete transition. It is a complete change inward and outward, and what you become after the process is nothing short of a miracle. For me personally, it has been deep awakening that has called into existence a new paradigm for my body and spirit. What if I were to say to you that you can become more powerful and adept at transitioning and facing your own inner demons? Would you believe me if I said you can surpass your own expectations? I say this because early in my transition, I really didn't believe that I could get very far. I didn't really believe that I could attain or be who I am today, which is shocking to even say that because here I am today being like, yeah, this is just me, but I'm so far from where I started, and I think you are too, and that's why I asked that question. The secret is in learning how to expand and contract, let go and let in. This is super big, and I would love you to reflect on this. How can you expand yourself, and how can you contract yourself? How can you let go of things that's maybe more expansive, and how can you let in things which is more contractive? When you realize that your main opponent is your identity, then you can begin to unravel the process of attachment, burn it down, and begin the process of renewal and creation. So this is important because if you are kind of framing it as Kung Fu and you're fighting, the person that you're actually fighting is yourself, your own identity, what you are attached to. And that can be your story. That can be your story about struggle. Oh, I've always had struggle, or this is my family, or I'm not loved enough, or I'll never be lovable. These are things that you identify with as thoughts that are yours and your story that you're living through as you're embarking through your journey. And kind of like how Buddha realized that the last line before enlightenment was realizing that he was fighting with himself. It's the same thing. Like when you look at yourself and you look at what you need to do in order to accept, who is it that's really getting in the way of allowing you to accept yourself? It's you. you're either allowing yourself to accept yourself and accept that you can accept yourself and giving yourself permission that you can accept yourself, or you are saying, you know what, I don't believe I can. I don't believe I'm worthy of being accepted. I don't believe that it's possible for me to accept myself. And I think this is stupid. I think this is stupid that I could even think of doing this. This is dumb because if I am to, I'm just continuing to go down this line of thought because I've had it. If I am going to allow myself to accept myself, then that means that I have to accept many other things that I don't want to accept. And that's more frightening than actually accepting myself. Isn't it funny how the mind can do things like that? Where are you in that story of accepting yourself? How is that going for you? I'd love to hear your line of thought that you're working through in terms of accepting yourself. That would be really interesting to see. So your main opponent is actually you, and learning how to burn down that conflict and allow that thing that you're attached to die so that you can make up a new version of yourself is super key to the transition. This guide is about empowering you with a story and a guide and a practice to unlock your highest potential form. Yep, that's pretty much what it is. Okay, so on to the next chapter. This book is about personal growth, and we're gonna have a picture on the next page. This book provides fundamental tools and concepts that give you a framework for embodying self-acceptance and self-love, and ultimately be useful as a compass for navigating through the uncertainty in the best and worst of times. It's a shortcut around mistakes through the 10,000 plus hours I've invested in figuring out my transition and personal transformation. Yeah, get this book because this will definitely give you a shortcut. Look, cool little picture by my friend Melina. Nice little key. This is the key, right? This is for people who want a way to invest in themselves and have realized they are transgender. They want to get on the best track for realizing their greatest version of themselves the soonest. Some of you have 100% committed to a transition, and others of you may be reading this as an exploratory exercise. And some of you are in between and looking at a roadmap. Wherever you are, that's okay, and you will benefit from reading this. This is a resource that will help you throughout your transition, and I suggest you bookmark and come back to revisit this as you grow and adapt. You may uncover deeper insights as your perspective changes. Share it with your friends, it will benefit them too. When you first realize that you are transgender, there are probably a million thoughts racing through your mind. It's natural to begin searching the internet or elsewhere for information to provide a context for what you're experiencing. I found a lot of the how-to content for trans folks works on a narrow sliver of the problem of what it takes to transition. There are obvious tangible things like how to pass, surgery topics, and how to put on makeup and so on. And it makes sense. They're easy to Google and recognize as trans things, but I believe what's lacking is a more personal growth-oriented guide that helps you with your journey through your transition. You will find this guide goes much deeper than most, as it will help you go within to find the key to unlocking your transformation from the inside out and outside in. My hope is this will have a lasting impact on your life through your transition and afterwards, as these tools are broadly applicable to anything in life. That's important because they really are. If you'd like to go more in depth with me, you can come join one of my guided meditation groups or join a workshop. Yep, doing a guided workshop this weekend. So this is the next chapter, and I think I'll probably save that for another video. But thank you for joining me on this read through, and I will see you in another one. Please check out the book, and if you want to support me, you can buy it, or you can also support me on Patreon if you want to help me make these videos. Thank you to my supporters on Patreon, and thanks to everyone who has supported me by buying the book. I so appreciate you, and I will see you in another episode. Bye!